Food has always been my passion. Earlier, I had thought that I would work or build restaurants. Thank God, sense prevailed.
So Mira, you went to US. You have done hotel management. You were, working there. What got you back?
The purpose that I started FroGo with was to address the frozen category challenges and to get this category to consumers in a reliable and transparent manner. Freezing is absolutely the cleanest form of preservation. In the next 5 years, 30% of an urban Indian consumer's grocery basket will come from the frozen category. So to raise my seed round, I had 70 plus pitches that I went through, but it gave me great learnings. Don't become an entrepreneur to get the founder title. It literally takes blood, sweat, and tears.
I think today people will die or kill to really break even in 3 months. So how did that happen? Hi, I'm Darshana Shah, and my guest for today is no stranger to taking bold bets and making them work. Mira Jhala has built and sold businesses, scaled brands before they even became the next big thing, and is now redefining how India consumes frozen food with FroGo. So get ready for a conversation packed with real talks, sharp insights, and stories you won't hear every day. Hi, Mira. Welcome to my show. And I'm very, very thankful that you decided to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Darshana. It is always wonderful to see you.
And Mira, whilst I know you are doing wonderful things, you've built businesses, you've sold businesses, you've been on the, fundraising side, you've had many different experiences, but I want to go back to and we've of course been the Harvard batchmates also, and I've seen Mira over there, but I want to go back to where it all started, this kind of, the bold bets that you take and, the choices of businesses that you've taken. Is there something in your childhood that has, inspired you? I know you come from Ahmedabad and born and brought up there. What has inspired you?
So, like you said, I grew up in Ahmedabad. This entire ecosystem, society in Gujarat is so enterprising and entrepreneurial.
Gujarati is now business.
Yes. So I grew up with, I don't think anybody in my immediate family or friends or family circle was working at a company. Everybody ran their own enterprises, small, big, in all different various industries. So it felt like that was the way of life, that you run your own business. And having seen many different industries through the lens of, acquaintances, friends, parents, my own father, it just felt like if you take risk, the rewards are really there. My father also ran an agri-tech manufacturing company, and he's been a huge inspiration. Unconsciously, I've taken so much just from watching him build his business. There are so many skills that...
You would go with him to office? Or
I did. In my teenage years, I did. I was always a very curious child. So I did go with him to the office. But even phone calls that he would take from home, there would be meetings or discussions that he would have with his friends. I would listen in. And I think there's so many things that I took inside and just embodied. One of the key things that I learned from him was people management and how important people are to any business. Nobody can build anything alone.
Yeah, that's true. You need a great team and you need a whole support.
Yes. So that people management and risk appetite, those are the two things that I took from my childhood, from my father particularly. And I think those have served me well.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. But like you brought a side of Gujaratis and being in Ahmedabad where everybody is working. I am, raised in a Gujarati family, in a business family, but we had seen so much of ups and downs that actually I decided to take up a job because that's where stability counted. And, maybe other different circumstances, but like I always feel some of these are your roots that, the conditioning or things that you see which make you, and which serves you, like you said. So Mira, you went to US, you have done hotel management, you were, working there. What got you back?
After my undergrad and my hotel management that I did, I worked with the Hyatt Group of hotels in the US. However, I always knew in the back of my head that I will come back to India, and whatever I want to build has to be built in India. There are many factors to this. The comfort of language. Not
True.
that, I mean, in the US, you can, we are all English speaking. So that's not the problem. But the comfort of the culture, the comfort of people, and wanting to build the ecosystem within your network. So even though I never went back to Ahmedabad and built there, I knew early on that this is where the opportunities are. And in 2009, when I moved back to India, this was a great time to move back. In the US, anyways,
The Lehman.
exactly, the entire financial crash was happening. My daughter was extremely young. She was 18 months old when, we decided to move back to India. But in hindsight, it was perfect timing because there were so many things that were being built. So the Zomatos of the world came after that. There were a few large companies
India
like Make My Trip and Naukri.com, and these were the startup superstars.
Yes.
But all of the large businesses and unicorns that we see today have been built after 2009. So
the whole e-commerce started, the initial e-commerce.
Correct. Yeah, Flipkart was around that time was when it was really taking off. So business as we know it, startups as we know it have been built during this time. And, we've had front row seats. I moved to Gurgaon, and that's where I've spent the last 15 years. So really feel like we have front row seats to see how the country is being built. So
that's amazing. No, I like this front row seats to see. And coming from there, and then you started the Curry in a Hurry. So what got you into food? Was it because of hotel management that?
Food has always been my passion. That was a career choice that I had made very early on, that I want to be involved with food in some way or the other. Earlier, I had thought that I would work or build restaurants. Thank God, sense prevailed, and I did not go down that direction.
Yeah, I think the amount I see opening and closing, it's not funny if you don't have your model.
It's a really hard life also. Yeah. I'm not particularly, I don't believe in, that 70 hours or the debate of how many hours you work, but in the restaurant business, there is absolutely no personal life.
That's true.
Anytime people are celebrating, you are working, and just the odd hours, late nights and all of that. So that's not a life that I wanted for myself. So decided to move back. When I moved back to India, it turned out that, right place, right product, right market. And it was the first business I was ever, starting or wanting to run. It was at a very small scale that I started Urban Kitchen with a very small investment, bootstrapped company. We broke even in 3 months. So really felt like...
That's amazing. No, I think today people will die or kill to really break even in 3 months. So how did that happen?
Like I said, right product, right market, right time. And... that's not replicable always, right? Even for me, I cannot replicate that. But, given the market that we were in Gurgaon, it felt too easy. It felt like, bas, ho gaya, itna hi karna hai. And, I was like, why do people complain that business is so hard? But, life teaches you.
Because you still had to scale, right?
We had to
you
scale.
Still in the comfort of...
Exactly. So this was a great lifestyle business. This was the right business to teach the business skills. It was wonderful that we had a very small team. So you had to get into everything, all the way from procurement to finance to sales to hiring the team to managing the team, everything, and operations.
If you really did the cloud kitchen model even before it became such a in thing, or really the cloud kitchen really started
before the
up.
term came.
Yeah, the term came.
Cloud kitchen. We were running cloud kitchen in 2009, so have been doing that model. And everybody says cloud kitchens cannot be run profitably. I stand to correct that. I have run cloud kitchens profitably and sustainably. At scale, we lose the perspective of cost, and demand generation becomes really expensive. I think those are the things that are not working for the cloud kitchen business. But otherwise, I think cloud kitchens can be run profitably.
So it's interesting what you're bringing. I mean, it's learning for me also that at scale, the demand generation and also cost, you have to control both of that or manage that.
Correct. So I've seen businesses, add on so much cost, unnecessary costs of people, locations, and not being super stringent with scaling. When you're scaling, you tend to overlook a lot of aspects into making sure the locations are right, making sure you have the right team, making sure you're purging the product lists that you have, the SKUs that you're offering from time to time. So all of these things one tends to, deprioritize as you're scaling. But those are the things that keep a business profitable. Yeah.
So you eventually sold Purist to, CureFit, and usually people think that, this whole selling is such a glamorous thing because, finally you've got your money, you've made the valuation and all of that. But I'm sure it comes with a lot of challenges. So how was it for you?
Selling has been glamorized. Being an exit founder is, revered in the industry. It comes with its own challenges, of course. For me, it was the decision to sell was completely based on the shared food philosophy that I had with CureFit. They were also very health focused. They were ingredient focused. They were better for you, clean and good, nutritious food is what they stood for. And that's exactly what I had built those were the pillars that I had built my business on.
So you all had shared values then.
Shared values is what intrigued me into looking at that offer. And more importantly, the timing for any exit, timing is everything. So this was at the time when CureFit was looking to enter the North India market. And it worked out really well because it was the right time for me to take on larger challenges. I knew that I could scale organically and add locations. However, with a strong, big machinery like CureFit behind you, I could scale much faster. I could have a much bigger impact, have, larger team.
Also learning, I think.
And learning.
Yes.
So one of the key learnings that I had at CureFit, I knew the food behaviors of consumers in the offline world very well.
Correct.
However, this was the first time that I saw how consumers interacted with food online and how to, build wallet share, how to increase repeat users, how to increase, stickiness. All of these things I was seeing for the first time, and the rapid scale. We really managed to scale very fast, and at peak, I believe, in areas that I was managing, we were delivering 25,000 meals every day. So learning the complexity of such large operations also was
25,000 meals every day. That's amazing. But Mira, tell me, so what did you really learn? Because I agree, the offline to online and this kind of scale. I mean, what was your offline number of meals daily?
About 3,000.
So from 3,000 to 25,000, it's almost, you're doing 5 times or 7 times. So how did you really, what were the learnings that you picked up? That will be very good for the listeners who are now ready to scale, in food business.
So in the food business, quality is everything. I used to constantly have these discussions with team members from CureFit who are engineers, who are building product, who are, seeing like how the UI UX works, all of that. I used to constantly tell people that let's not forget that we are running a food business.
Absolutely.
Tech is just an enabler. If the food is not great, no matter how good your user interface is, people are not going to come back.
That's true, because in India, honest food is what you live for almost. And I know I've heard a lot of people that I live to eat.
Yes.
And in that, if the quality is what you don't give, because taste is what people want finally.
So focusing on quality in the food business, I don't think there is any substitute to that. And as you're scaling, quality, it's hard to maintain. So say in Mumbai, you've eaten kathi roll, and tomorrow, same person goes to Bangalore and orders the same kathi roll. how do you ensure that both of these products taste the same?
Yeah, correct.
So having consistency, having standardized products across geographies, ensuring that every single product that's going out is safe to consume. When the numbers are so high, it's very, very difficult to monitor each and every
Yes.
order. So
So,
culture becomes a very key important metric. The entire team needs to feel that ownership. So building that and quality, I think those are key things.
That's really interesting insight, because you're saying culture and accountability, you're taking ownership, and you chose to take bets on perishable business first of all, because this thing doesn't last more than 24 hours. You don't
Or
even-
less.
or less. Yes. And even further, when you decided to get into FroGo, but before I come to that, Mira, what got you to Harvard Business School? Because that's where you and I met. And I remember my journey, because I came at a point in time where so there are 5 buckets. I was reading this book by it's a diary of a CEO, and you need knowledge, then you need to skill yourself, you want to network, build your resources, and create a reputation. And for me, what I was really looking at that time was building my knowledge, skill I had, but how do I create my network globally? That's what took me to Harvard Business School. And so what was the reason that you were doing well? You sold it to Cult Fit, you at Cure Fit, and you were doing well, learning, scaling. What got you to Harvard?
I had built a business. It was not what I had built was not at a very large scale, and then I joined a business that was at a fairly large scale. So when came time to think about what next, I wanted to take a step back and truly just want to spend time in an environment that would open up my mind to think of endless possibilities. I came in purely thirsty for knowledge, for a different perspective, and for opening my mind to what else can I do and how big can it be? And without limitations and without restrictions that we put on ourselves, we tend to put on ourselves.
Yes.
I wanted to give myself the opportunity to think big. And that's what got me to Harvard. And, it was a wonderful journey. I did not come in looking for any specific outcome. I was just there to be inspired. So
And that they do very well.
they do
right?
very well.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it worked out great for me. And, the network that or network of my peers, the professors that was around was again just so inspiring. People are doing such amazing things, even if it is not related to what your field is. Just seeing that really helped open up my mind and, remove any limitations that I had ever put on myself.
And they really do it well. I remember this entire conversation around, what is your purpose, and find your purpose, give back to the society. And that's been my journey. I've been consistently looking for something, and I hope this show bringing voices of, leaders like you, people who've taken bold bets, choices, non-conforming, rebelling, is what I want to bring, like really authentic food. I want to bring authentic stories to the listeners.
Wonderful.
So was FroGo in your mind? Did the germination or the germ of that idea happen when you were at Harvard Business School?
Yes, it did. And I was talking about it to few of our batchmates who were somehow in the food industry or FMCG, and I was bouncing ideas off of them. The reason this had been in my mind was that in my entire food journey, I had seen firsthand the challenges with cold chain and temperature controlled food. There was no transparency in terms of how the food was being handled. There was no reliable, you could not just depend on the supply chain to ensure that your food was handled correctly. And
I don't think we had back then. I don't know now, but back then did we have good supply chains for frozen food? It was not so big.
Not so big.
Yeah.
So it was not a very large segment. And also there wasn't the need, or the consumers did not demand the transparency. Of course, our country has been frozen food, a large segment is ice creams. And our country has always been big on,
Yes, yeah.
indulgence and
Given the
sweets and
summers, yes.
all of that. So that's a sizable business in the country. Yet the dependability was missing. So this was, as being in the industry, I had noticed this, and I had thought about it several times. Why isn't somebody solving this? This is a big enough and a good enough problem to solve. So that was there, and then I had done research, and one of the research papers that I read said that in the next 5 years, 30% of an urban Indian consumer's grocery basket will come from the frozen category.
Wow, that's interesting.
So
30%.
it's going to be that's a huge number.
Yes.
If we do the math there. However, as a consumer, I was not seeing the impact of that. I was still not getting the variety that I was looking for. I was still not getting reliable supply. All of that was missing.
Yes.
So with those thoughts in my mind, and then at HBS, wanting to solve hard problems was the inspiration, and that's how I got started with
And
FroGo.
also I read that, Mira, you are passionate about technology and using technology that solves, everyday consumer, everyday lives, and giving them better experiences. So I think that's where your FroGo, keeping the technology and solving the need for demand for frozen food is how we brought it together.
Absolutely. So, I do strongly believe that there are certain problems that technology can really enable acceleration in fixing certain things and simplifying. In the cold chain, the problems that were there lied because of the huge human dependency. The human dependency cannot be taken away. But
True.
Yet there are so many tasks that can be automated. There are so many tasks that can be monitored and built to improve via technology. So that's what we are doing at FroGo.
But tell me, so I know that frozen food market, like you said, is growing at 30%, and it is expected or projected to be at 43 billion. But there is still the demand of the fresh food in India. I mean, that's always been. So do you see that clashing, or is that still a challenge? Or people are okay to have frozen food along with fresh food?
So I'll answer this in 2 points. First is that the consumer is becoming aware of the health impact of frozen food. Freezing is the cleanest form of preservation.
Also, in fact, then this is a myth for all our listeners, or at least for me, because we were always taught that you need to have make fresh, because frozen is not good for health. And now
we grew up being told frozen hai to basi hai.
Correct.
Right? This was at a time when we did not have most homes did not have refrigerators. So it was true for that time. But now you look at our homes and
Yes.
the kind of freezers we have. Freezing is absolutely the cleanest form of preservation. When you take a product to sub-zero temperatures, there is no microbial growth that happens. In fact, it protects the micronutrients of the food much better than ambient or fresh food does.
This is really interesting. I hope the listeners...
I really hope that, and the young generation understands this. They're also well-traveled. If you look at Europe, which has the highest
Yes.
and most stringent food norms of anywhere in the world, you see that the exposure to frozen food is incredibly high.
It's incredibly high over
Because it is clean. It is convenient. The consumers today want convenience, and frozen is the right application to give that convenience to people. There will always be consumers that want fresh, and we are, 1.4 billion people. So there is always a market for all types of foods. But the young generation that needs convenience, frozen is a good option for them.
So has now you entered into, and I remember we talking, and this was your another B2C journey of starting frozen business. So the point I want to bring is about pivoting, Mira, and how important it is when an entrepreneur is starting the journey, keeping a certain, business, consumer insight, business plan in mind, and then you realize that it is not going that way, and you have to pivot. How important it is, and I know that from B2C, you made for FroGo as B2B. So talk about that journey.
When we started as a B2B platform, and there were a few reasons for that. Back in 2022, there was no platform that had extensively done frozen deliveries. So we had no data on how a consumer would interact with this category, what would be the buying frequency, what would be the average order value, what would be a basket size.
Right.
None of this information, this data was not available.
Because frozen was too minuscule overall.
Correct. And online deliveries, and this was, let me
Online.
remind you, this was before quick commerce. So we had no
Right.
data. So we started with a B2C platform, more to get insights on how we want to build. So during that time, we had incredible results. From a single micro market of Gurgaon, we shipped more than 70,000 products with an average order value of 1,495.
Wow, that's
Which in
frozen.
food business is just
It's
incredible.
amazing, absolutely.
However, we had to take a step back from that and not just dwell in the euphoria of कि इतना हमने बेच दिया और इतना AOV है, all of that. But for me, it is very important to see if this business can be built sustainably. There are giants before us who have done great demand generation, who have the attention of the consumers. We did not want to go in and build a B2C giant. But the purpose that I started FroGo with was to address the frozen category challenges and to get this category to consumers in a reliable and transparent manner. So we thought it was, at this point, we realized that it was best to build the B2B business, and our consumers are the brands. So understand the challenges that the brands are facing and address those in fulfillment, in distribution, in temperature control, and enable all of this, build the backbone of this with technology. And that's when we realized that that's the right way to do this. And thankfully, post that, the quick commerce boom has come into India.
Accelerated the growth.
Accelerated the growth. And this category is also growing incredibly fast thanks to quick commerce.
So what I hear you say is that you were clear that first I want to test the market because there was no data. So B2C was more testing. And because it worked, you used the whole technology and then you scaled at B2B.
Right.
So the brands is where you gave them a platform. You are the enabler.
Yes.
So Mira, now being which means you're more in the logistics and, creating the dark warehouses,
stores,
the dark stores and the warehouses for frozen. And this can equally, because I don't think there was enough and more in this area equally. So then what kind of challenges were you facing there?
So challenges are numerous in any business that one is trying to build from scratch. Few of the key challenges, right, that we faced was making the brands understand the value prop of being in multiple geographies. There are regional brands that do really well. A brand in Mumbai who's spent 20 years building, and they have great following, great customer love. Convincing the brand to expand to pan-India operations. Those, brands are holding back.
But what is the reason? Why wouldn't a brand want to go? Is because the
restrictions, because they don't have reliable partners.
Okay.
And they do not want to take risk with their brand value.
True.
If they are not able to deliver the same promise in other regions, there's corrosion of their brand value, right? So brands were hesitant. To the building transparency and accountability across the supply chain means that at a warehouse, we need to have complete information and data of how the products are being handled. There is a huge restriction or reservation that warehouse partners we got from the warehouse partners on wanting to share the
Share
data
the data.
transparently. So we had to convince them that this is the way forward. The consumers need to have that information, and the brands need to have that trust. And
Correct.
only data can build that trust.
Correct.
So there are several challenges in building this. Demand generation was, again, what continues to be sustainably generating demand for brands continues to be a challenge.
So already food delivery by itself is it's a tremendous challenging logistics and managing all of that. On top of that, it is frozen and it's an untapped market, so to say, from what I'm, hearing from you. So you were trying to change the way things were done. You were trying to bring in the mindset change, and it is very male dominated, Mira. So now coming to you, being a woman, entrepreneur, trying to now, first of all, get them to change what was true for so many years or decades that they were, doing this business. How did you navigate that?
So, this is a very fragmented industry. There are many players and they're doing bits and pieces of it. At FroGo, we are trying to consolidate all of this and build an end-to-end ecosystem which is tech-enabled. So one, that was very different for the industry.
Correct.
That is not what they were used to. Two, I rarely meet any women in this logistics and supply chain, especially cold chain. I can count on my fingertips.
No, it's absolutely male-dominated,
It is
right?
completely male-dominated, and most of the people have been doing these, running these cold stores or logistics for 30 odd years. And they've done things exactly how they've done it for 30 years. So when somebody comes in, one, with a newer idea, two, a woman who's going to come and tell you how, you have been doing this for 30 years, but now I will tell you how
correct.
I want this done. So it does not go very well with it, but not everybody. There are also people who are very receptive to new ideas, who want things done differently, who want speed, who want agility. So there are all kinds of people, women and men. Everybody needs to learn how to navigate working with different personalities. So being a woman, I hope it's also an advantage to some degree. Being a woman in a completely male-dominated industry.
Was it advantages for you, or was it challenging?
It was challenging for sure. Different situations have given me different feelings, but there have also been few instances where I felt like it was an advantage.
Nice.
And I will take the advantages wherever we get them.
We must. But so navigating that, but eventually, are you seeing people, now accepting what you're bringing in, your idea, the game-changing, using technology to scale their logistics and business? So are people buying in?
So, most people, they are opinionated before they see your work. Okay. But if you're good at what you're doing, if you're delivering on what you are claiming you want to do, if they see the work you're doing and if you're doing good work, I think everybody comes around. So that has been my experience. People, even the people who had reservations, once they see the kind of team we have, the kind of dedication that the team across, it's not just one person building the business. We have a whole team. So once they see how the business is being run, I think they come around for sure. And they become the ones who had reservations. When they come around, they become the biggest supporters.
Yeah, they become your best ally, right? To have. And that you see in every business, because you do have to, win trust. You have to gain confidence. Mira, that brings me to another point that you've also been, wanting to raise funds. And I've read and heard many stories there where it's been difficult for women at that table where you are, raising fund, whether it's for your seed or angel or whichever round, because they don't get the fair share. Have you gone through that?
Yes, absolutely.
And because I was talking to you and you said 70 plus pitches that, you have.
So to raise my seed round, I had 70 plus pitches that I went through. And as an exit founder, pedigreed founder in the industry, it's not like I've changed industry. It's in the same industry that I'm building. Yet 70 pitches. but it gave me great learnings. So again, it taught me the biggest lesson that you need to sustain a startup: perseverance, and how not to get knocked down by rejection.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
The
And don't take
resilience.
rejection as that's their opinion. Take learnings from that rejection. But what you're building, if you know what you're building, and not everybody is going to believe, have the same belief set as you. So there will be different opinions, but don't change your path. Along these 70 pitches, I must have received 30 different advice of aise nahi aise karna chahiye. Why don't you think of it like this? And some of it was very, very valid. But was it valid for the business that we are building? Was it valid for the idea that we are chasing? Not necessarily. So don't get dissuaded by rejection, and stay with it. Grit. It comes in handy.
Wow, I
And
know.
thick
I
skin.
want thick skin. So I want all the listeners to, because you were a pedigreed, founder. You had an exit, you had a game plan, you had an idea which was really solving for a problem, and you had to go 70 times, and pitch, and you didn't give up. And I think this is very important for everybody out there who's getting into starting their own business, or getting their believe in your own self. Don't
do
let
the
people
work.
decide, and your work.
And do the work.
Do the
So during these 70 pitches, I was constantly taking learnings from every rejection. I was tweaking my story. I was practicing. No shame in saying that I was practicing in front of a mirror,
Yeah,
perfecting my storytelling, seeing where my gaps are. So, you don't want to be in la la land that you're doing everything perfect.
True.
Keep working on it, keep improving, put in the work.
So also accept the feedback. Don't also ride on your high horse.
Oh, absolutely.
Both ways. Coming to, what's the future of FroGo? Where do you see this now going ahead? It's again build and sell for you. Are you building to scale and, continue?
So we're building to scale. We are absolutely building to scale. How we see FroGo is we are the enablers for the industry. Wherever a brand wants to sell, we want to, enable them to be there. So quick commerce is just as an example, right? Currently, quick commerce, each platform would have presence between, depending on which platform we're talking about, 35 to 40 odd cities.
Yeah.
Now, this number easily in the next 12 to 18 months is going to go 100 plus.
Wow, that fast. No, quick commerce is really ramping up.
It's ramping up really fast. So say 100 cities, 6 platforms, and 300 to 400 brands. And, even if we say 50,000 rupees revenue per brand per city per month, these are huge numbers.
These are huge numbers, of course.
And we need, the brands don't have, not all the brands, there are some who will. The brands do not have the appetite to scale 200 cities. The platforms don't have the appetite to upskill the brands to scale. So there is the entire middle layer that needs to be there to enable and bridge this growth.
So you found a clear gap, and that's the role. This is fantastic.
That's what we are, that's the role we are playing for this industry. And this quick commerce is just one example. We are doing the same for modern trade, for e-commerce, for general trade, all of that. So we want to address one industry at a time. Quick commerce is just growing so fast, so it's an obvious choice for us to address.
And I guess the learnings from quick commerce can also go to e-commerce, because the whole 5-minute, 10-minute delivery by itself is demanding, right? So
yes, absolutely. So that's what we're building, and we're building to scale this, and we see this as a very large business in the coming years.
Mira, awesome. I think I have seen Mira at Harvard, and I see Mira now, and more power to you. I saw that, you won some awards recently for the business. So I think amazing work. And what is the advice that you would want to give to the young entrepreneurs who are, coming in, who are hurrying in, wanting that exit fast, or are looking at those big numbers? some of the valuation game has been, and obviously everybody's aspiring for that. But you've seen both sides. You've seen the hard side of it, and you've seen the good side of it also. So what would you advise to all these young ones?
Don't become an entrepreneur to get the founder title.
Awesome.
It is a hard road. It is a lot of risk. It literally takes blood, sweat, and tears to build something. So go in if you truly believe in an idea, if you want to make something better, because it will test you. No doubt, it will test you. There will be ups and downs. And an entrepreneur's journey, it is full of risk. It is full of uncertainty. More startups fail than they succeed. So don't go in thinking that this is glamorous and let me do this. So that's one.
I think that's, in fact, learning for me also, Mira. I also must keep that in mind. Thanks.
So this second and most important thing, do the work. And there is no work-life balance. As a founder, you're on 24/7. The buck stops at you. There is no question of switching off. It does not matter where you are, what you're doing. So these are the hard things. You will have to put in the work. There is no quick road. There is no easy shortcuts. Your business will demand your time. Your business will demand your work. And you have to do all of that to achieve results. So if you're willing to do that, just go all in. Then once you decide that you're willing to do all of that, go all in.
Then go all in.
Don't look back. Just go all in and stick with it.
So there's no easy road. There's no shortcut. You have to give your 100%, go all in and work is what I hear Mira say. Interesting, Mira. Coming to the other side, the other hat you are also now wearing, you are also an investor. You are sitting there, people come to pitch to you. And so do you, now taking your own learning, because it's been tough for you, people have given you the tough time. Now when there are young women founders who are coming to you, are you being, different to them or more empathetic, or how are you playing that role?
See, as an investor, there are two things that, two roles that we have to play. One can be a good sounding board / mentor to people who are pitching. And two is the money that you invest in. Whether you believe in the idea or not, if a founder has taken time and has, wanted to share their complete business and, pitch to you, you owe it to them to listen, to truly absorb and try to understand what they are building. And even if you do not agree, find those few advices from your journey and give it to them. Money is not the only thing you will give. I have had, in the 70 conversations that I had, there were so many people who offered great advice, who offered great little anecdotes, which truly helped me, improvise and firm up my business plan, firm up my pitch deck, whatever advice it can be. So listen. So not only for young women, for anybody who pitches. Now, especially for women, I'm very aware that there are unconscious biases that we all have.
Correct.
My unconscious bias may be that I prefer women. So that could be my unconscious bias. We all need to be aware of our unconscious biases and not let that come into the investment decisions.
So you are conscious at that time.
I am. But I always want to give back at least and give them some advice from my experience. They may or may not take it, but and that's perfectly fine too. But give back in terms of advice. Money is not the only thing, and be aware of the unconscious bias. Those are the things that I keep in mind when I'm listening to a pitch.
And it's also important for people coming to the pitch table to understand that every time it's not money, you will also get the advice. So be open to that, because the kind of mentorship that you can give. Oh, absolutely. Coming from here, if there is one piece of advice that you want to give to any aspiring entrepreneur watching this show, which they should, remember.
Money is not going to solve most of your problems. If you're building a business and if you think that let me fundraise and that will solve and build my business, that's not going to happen. Your business needs to have legs. Your business needs to have a sustainable model. Your business needs to have consumers who want your services or product, whatever it is that you're building. That's non-negotiable. Money will only help you accelerate to a degree. Money is not going to build that business for you. So be very aware. We have, glamorized the fundraise part
Absolutely.
of entrepreneurship. That okay, this company raised these many millions,
and I think that's what keeps coming. So I read about physics wala, that I think couple of billions and what was happening. So I think this is what plays in. Now I'm sure all geography wala, chemistry wala, everybody will start thinking that they can also. But here you're right. It's not about money.
Money is not going to solve it.
Yeah.
And so in the food world, if I take this analogy from the food world, say raising money is equivalent to giving ingredients to a chef. कि अच्छा ये ingredients हैं, पर खाना तो शेफ को बनाना है ना अभी. So आपको पैसा इन्वेस्टर दे देगा आपकी कंपनी बनाने के लिए. कंपनी आप ही को बनानी है. Nobody is coming to solve certain problems for you. There are going to be difficult problems, and you have to solve them yourself. And money is not the thing that will solve it for you.
Very nice. I think it's so interesting talking to you, because even I'm also learning. Mira, thank you so much for this. And now, we've done all the hard talk. So yes, let's have fun, Mira. What's a startup trend you think is highly overrated?
Startup trend. Oh, there are so many. But just thinking you've made it just because you raised funds.
That's overrated.
That is overrated.
Yeah, because that's the beginning of the...
you've raised funds. Now you got to build the business.
Yes.
So, yes, celebrate that you have the, fuel to make this rocket ship happen. But the rocket ship needs to happen.
Mira as an investor or Mira as a CEO of...
Oh, absolutely. Building FroGo. Yes, entrepreneur, a founder, that's... My passion lies in building from scratch, and that's what excites me. So 100%.
Awesome. How would you explain your role, your job to a 5-year-old child?
So interesting. I always tell my team that as a founder, I'm the one jo chai leke aata hai. I'm the one who signs the checks. I'm the one who, when there is a customer who's unhappy, I'm the one who has to speak to them. I'm also the one who received the awards. So you get to do the hard things, and then you also get the rewards from it. So you wear multiple hats.
I would also add for a 5-year-old on your behalf कि मैं आइसक्रीम भी लेके आती हूँ आपके लिए आइसक्रीम.
बिल्कुल.
What's a non-work skill you wish you could master overnight?
Non-work skill. Writing poetry.
Oh, really?
I wish I could write poetry.
There is another, kya hai, Galib or anything?
I wish I cannot, but I wish I could write poetry. I think that's just so beautiful. And so, just listening to some good poetry is, a great form of relaxation for me. Whenever I listen to music, I want that there should be, some meanings and words to it.
Nice.
I wish I could do that.
What's a small but game-changing habit that you have in your daily routine?
Spirituality. I think it has... I grew up around a spiritual home. Grew up with my grandmother in the house. However, in your young days, you in college, and you tend to overlook that.
Absolutely.
And I have come back to spirituality a few years ago, and I think it has been a game changer for me in terms of improving focus, improving and staying positive always. And I think it's been absolute game changer in terms of how I look at the world.
I so truly, agree with you because that's my journey since last 1 year now. It really centers you. It calms you down.
Yes.
Is this and this whole overthinking process that
Yes.
you sort of center and bring yourself in the moment. This living in the moment is what spirituality has taught me.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said.
What's a skill you never thought you would need as a founder?
I never thought that I will need the skill to pacify a really upset customer.
Really?
Be the agony
The smile is
aunt,
not
or
working.
be when somebody is upset, to really calm them down. I didn't think I would. That's not something that I thought in the professional world happens, but I have needed that skill several times over, and it's a work in progress for me.
That patience to need to give your kandha to cry.
Aajo, rolo.
Mira, with your amazing experience that you have and the companies that you have built and sold and you're building again, this kind of experience, if now the young entrepreneurs, if they have to reach out to you, they want your mentorship, your guidance, where can they find you?
I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, and I try to respond to most messages. There may be some lag at times, but I think that's the best place to reach me. And I'm happy to, help people with my time or guidance or introductions. If that's what they are looking for, I'm happy to do that.
Amazing. So do reach out to Mira Jhala on LinkedIn, and she's here helping. She's ready to help, guide, or mentor. Mira, thank you very much. It was awesome to have you here and lots of learnings.
Thank you, Darshana. It was wonderful to be here and to have this conversation with you. Takes me back to our HBS days, where we've had several of such conversations.
And fun.
And
right?
fun. Yes.
And Mira, because you know that I'm just starting this show out, the Darshana Shah Show, and any advice, anything that you want to give me?
You're a great storyteller, Darshana. Your purpose is to start and declutter and tell authentic stories.
Yes.
I think it's a great purpose. We all need to see people's real self. So keep peeling those layers for people. And, having been here with you, talking to you, I think it's helpful not only for others, but even for me. You sometimes tend to forget and reflect back on your journey. So I think it's very therapeutic to talk about your journey and see how far you have come. So get people to be more and more authentic.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.